It's been revealed that the producers of the Beverly Hillbillies, one of the most beloved programs in television history, kept us chuckling and watching for years while concealing a plethora of secrets. Check it out, because we've got all the salacious details on your beloved Hillbillies. Friends on camera. Buddy Ebsen played Jed Clampett, the comedic lead of the show. It's come to light that Ebsen and his co-star Nancy Culp did not have a friendly relationship off-set. Even though Ebsen was opposed to Culp's political stances, he volunteered to assist her opponent by appearing in a radio advertisement against her. Nancy was the Democratic candidate for the House of Representatives in 1984, but Bud Shuster, the Republican choice, beat her by a wide margin. Buddy's actions reportedly deeply offended Nancy, who claimed that he ought to have avoided the situation. A family with talents. Buddy Ebsen and his sister Vilma moved to Los Angeles in 1936. Both siblings were in the highly praised musical film Broadway Melody. The movie won one award for Best Dance Direction and was nominated for 3 Academy Awards. There was no doubt that Buddy Ebsen would become famous. Broadway Melody is still his sister's most famous work, even though she had a few more parts in movies and on Broadway. She quit show business a few years later, had kids, and then opened her famous dance school. An inexpensive estate. The producer of the Beverly Hillbillies, Paul Henning, paid $500 to use a residence in Bel Air for filming. The mansion they occupied was constructed in 1933 and is situated in the Kirkby district. It features immaculate lawns and expansive garden. This area came to be known as the opulent home where the Beverly Hillbillies lived after becoming rich. Jerry Parenchio, a television mogul and real estate developer, purchased the mansion following the completion of the production. He destroyed the majority of the home to grow the mansion and add underground parking. Not the critic's choice. For approximately 9 years, the long-running program was a triumph. Fans identified strongly with the ordinary people who muddled matters in the affluent Beverly Hills. Critics, nevertheless, failed to perceive the allure. Notwithstanding its 7 Emmy nominations throughout the years, the program continued to be deemed strained and unfunny and awful to endure by critics. Irrespective of personal perspectives, the series' triumph and widespread appeal make it among the most viewed programs on television. In 1993, the studio attempted to recreate the enchantment with a film adaptation, but it received abysmal reviews and generated only average profits. The initial spark just didn't exist. Actress turned politician. Nancy Culp portrayed the perpetually unmarried and love-deprived Miss Jane Hathaway on the program, but she was not only a gifted actress but also a linguist, a teacher, and an aspiring politician among many of her accomplishments. Culp initially pursued a career in public relations, but upon relocating to Hollywood, discovered herself occupied more with production duties than behind the scenes. She turned to politics after 9 years on the Beverly Hillbillies and abandoned acting to run for the Democratic nomination in Pennsylvania's House of Representatives. Sharon Tate in a wig. In the 1960s, Sharon Tate, an American model and actress, featured in few films and on television. Sadly, her most enduring reputation is that of a casualty of the 1969 Manson family homicides. Sharon was pregnant with their first child when she died. She was married to the director Roman Polanski. As Janet Trago, she had a regular part on the show, starring in approximately 15 episodes. Sharon would conceal herself during public events by wearing a brown haircut. Striking it rich. Much like the surprise financial wealth that befell Jed Clampett, the Beverly Hillbillies became an immediate hit, raising the standard of every member, including the creators and stars. The honest and plain Clampetts won the hearts of Americans by not putting on a show. Each of these likable people comes up with a good plan. The first $25 million put into the Beverly Hillbillies brought in more than $100 million by the end of the show. That's quite an accomplishment, and the pay is pretty good too. Having Alzheimer's. The Beverly Hillbillies was changed by the banker for a long time. Every newly made millionaire would benefit from some sound financial management help. Raymond Bailey played the smart money manager, Mr. Drysdale, on the famous show. Sadly, Bailey started showing early signs of Alzheimer's disease during the last 2 seasons of the show. In recent years, it's become clear that he's sick. At the time of his death in 1980, Raymond Bailey was 75 years old. He had to stop playing soon after the show was over. Dodgy business deals. People liked Jethro Bodine, who played Jed's adopted nephew on the show. Max Baird Jr. said that he was nice but stupid. He was so smart that he was able to sue CBS and win. Specifically, he made 5 separate claims against the TV business. Researchers found that CBS knew that an actor's name was being used by a restaurant company, but didn't tell Baird about it for some reason. Instead, the network came to an unofficial deal to settle. Baird was reported as saying, "It's not a secret, we just can't talk about it." It's only $1 for 2. Max Baird Jr. wore a dress and played Jethreen Bodine, the character's exact twin sister, without any trouble. Thankfully, this is the case because the parts with her were funny. Baird played both Jethreen and his normal self, but Linda Henning did the voice for Jethreen. Paul Henning, the famous author of the Beverly Hillbillies, has a daughter named Linda. These sketches are not only famous, they're also ridiculously funny. Max Baird Jr. was one of the first male actors to play a female role on TV, but keep in mind that the show was still in black and white at the time. A secret scandal. One story says that there was real trouble in the Beverly Hillbillies because Sonny was Margaret Drysdale's son from a previous relationship. He was always called Sonny Drysdale on the show, which was not his real last name. This isn't a big deal, but it was done all the time. The show's experts say that Sonny's last name, Adonis, came from his father and Margaret's first husband. What the writers were thinking when they decided to add a progressive twist at a later time in the season is not completely clear. Casting types. Many would be shocked to learn that Max Baird Jr.'s real name is Maximilian Adalbert. Certainly does sound high class. The role of slow but likable Jethro Bodine on the Beverly Hillbillies made Baird famous. But after the show was over, the actor had a hard time getting other parts, especially ones where he had to play someone other than a happy farmer. It's normal for artists in Hollywood to be stuck playing the same roles over and over again. Baird decided to stop acting after being given several similar roles. Instead, he'll focus on writing, producing, and directing. The story of Jed Clampett. The show's beautifully enchanting theme song told the story of the proverbial rags to riches. It was called The Ballad of Jed Clampett, and it had music by the bluegrass duo Flatt and Scruggs and words by Jerry Scoggins. No matter how many times you watch the Beverly Hillbillies, you can probably still sing the famous song. Oil, that is, black gold, Texas tea. The song reached number 44 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the year the show first aired. Grandma Moses. Irene Ryan looks a lot like Granny, but at first the makers were thinking about putting Bea Benaderet, who is a great actor and singer, in the part. They thought Benaderet was too big and curvy to pass for Granny Moses, the roadkill eater, which surprised them. It was clear that the experienced actor didn't dislike Irene Ryan. In fact, she even suggested her for the part, and Ryan was hired right away after a great screen test. Access to the interview is available as an extra on the DVD extras. Made to be a country boy. Movie fans from the 1960s already know Buddy Ebsen from movies like Breakfast at Tiffany's. In that movie, released in 1961, he plays a person who looks a lot like Jed Clampett. Because of his work in the movie, Buddy Ebsen was offered the lead part in the Beverly Hillbillies a year later. We are no longer worried about the typecasting because Ebsen gave such a great performance. Who else could have done a better job of captivating us as the miner-turned-millionaire? Almost paid off. Even though Buddy Ebsen had a successful acting, writing, and singing career after the Beverly Hillbillies ended in the early 1970s, he was thinking about retiring before the hit show started. He was thinking about changing careers in the entertainment business right before the pre-production part of the show. It's clear that he changed after the premiere episode of the Beverly Hillbillies, The Clampetts Strike Oil, in 1962. After the team finished the pilot in December 1961, there was no more movement. The show will go on. Max Baer Jr. plays Jethro Bodine, who is the only member of the original cast's main group who's still alive. However, Baer still has one wish that he wants to make come true about the Beverly Hillbillies. He wants to build themed restaurants and casinos all over Las Vegas, Nevada. Since he got sub-licensing rights for food and slot machines, these strange characters may keep people interested for a long time. A man with many skills. Bud Sabag Palacio was naturally good at working in the theater business because he was good at many things. Not only was he good at dancing, but he was also good at acting, and boy, could he sing. After the success of the Beverly Hillbillies, it was only normal for him to look for another chance to show his countryside. Soon after, Ebsen started putting out country music songs with folk sounds. Now it was clear that he could not only look the part but also sound it. The soothing and relaxing mood of his songs adds to the warmth of the country music genre. Beauty that lasts. Even though fashion and haircuts have changed a lot since the 1960s, Donna Douglas has always been naturally beautiful. Douglas played sports all through high school. She played basketball and softball. She was crowned Miss New Orleans and Miss Baton Rouge before she became famous in show business. It's easy to see why Donna Douglas has won so many contests. Soon after she was found, people started calling her Ellie Mae Clampett. Always young. In the last episode of the Beverly Hillbillies, Irene Ryan realized that it's never too late to go after your goals. The show was canceled soon after, and Irene Ryan turned down an offer for a similar part on TV, even though she was best known for her role as Granny. Moving to New York to improve her skills on Broadway was the choice she made. It's never too late to start over, as shown by her achievements. It's time to leave. There must come a time when everything good must end, including a great track record and loyal fans. After 9 seasons of big ratings, the network ended the Beverly Hillbillies in 1971. A producer at CBS named Fred Silverman thought that the show had lost its appeal and was no longer uniquely showing rural life. At that time, the network had shows like Petticoat Junction and Green Acres that were similar. These rival shows that also showed small-town life had become very popular, and the Clampett family was no longer grateful. Not enough or late enough. A movie based on the Beverly Hillbillies came out in 1993, almost 30 years after the show first came out. Since the show was a huge hit right away and has continued to do well, it made sense that the movie could also break box office records. It's too bad that didn't happen. Could be because there was a long break between the TV show and the movie, or it could be because the beloved Clampetts were played by actors who were new to the part. No matter what the reasons were, both reviewers and moviegoers agreed that the movie was one of the worst ever. We both enjoyed the silly classic, which was a surprise. It's the best episode ever. According to TV Guide, Hedda Hopper's Hollywood was the most successful and well-liked episode of all 9 seasons of the Beverly Hillbillies. It was named number 62 on their 100 Greatest Episodes of All Time list in 1997. It was thought to have directly brought in new people to the show. Wow, that's an amazing accomplishment. Part of the reason for this was that the women on the show were so great. These beautiful women are essential to the show. It wouldn't work without them. A very full mouth. Calling people by their names is a big deal in both movies and TV shows. The character's name tells us about their background and what to expect from them. Sometimes leaving out a name can make something more interesting. Nobody knows why the people who made the show chose to name Margaret Drysdale's dad Lowell Farquhar. Additionally, we're unsure of the right way to say that last name, but try saying it 10 times quickly. Still, to be honest, you can't go wrong with a Smith or a Jones. We're family. The TV show The Beverly Hillbillies has been on since 1971. The popular show had an amazing run that included 274 episodes and 9 amazing seasons. Irene Ryan, Donna Douglas, and Buddy Ebsen were the only actors who were in every episode of the show. It looks like Granny, Jed, and his daughter Ellie Mae were the real stars of the show. We have to admit that this rare picture of all 3 generations acting naturally makes us a little jealous of the bond between them. Even though we think Jethro was in every show, the picture as a whole is still very good. Jed Clampett writes songs and poems. Along with being a famous actor, Buddy Ebsen was also a published author. You might have missed it because the book came out many years after he left show business. The title of the book he wrote was Kelly's Quest, an anthology of poems that told the story of a young woman named Kelly as she dealt with the ups and downs of life made up the book. Although 9 different companies turned down the book, Buddy Ebsen chose on his own to print it. With its unique take on life, the book launched at number 3 on the Los Angeles Times hardback bestseller list in 2001. Best Friend of a Girl. Chimpanzees were shown in both the original TV show from the 1960s and the movie version from the 1990s. According to what was already said, Ellie Mae had a deep love for animals. As pets, she kept Skipper and Bessie, 2 chimps. There's nothing cuter than seeing a monkey dressed up in a small dress that we think is purple. We think these are the 3rd most adorable animals, after cats and dogs, that we would want to play on the set of the Beverly Hillbillies. They're smart and pretty. What a great mix. Bring it on, Barnaby! Who comes to mind when you think of this actor from the famous Beverly Hillbillies movie from 1993? Even though he was in the movie, Buddy Ebsen was still very good. Many people knew him from his part as Jed Clampett, but he also played the lead in the popular TV show Barbara Jones, along with Lee Merriweather and Buddy Ebsen. These stars played a father and daughter-in-law team that ran a private research company in Los Angeles. The show ran for 7 seasons because it was so popular. Sadly, the famous actor passed away in 2003 when he was 95 years old. A Good Thought. Paul Henning came up with the idea for the show while traveling through the southern United States in 1959 and viewing important Civil War places. The main issue was integrating a person from a country area in the South into a society of upper-class people. His first plan was to film the show in New York City, but it turned out to be too hard and too expensive. So the site was changed to Beverly Hills. People say that Henning introduced them to the highly praised TV shows Petticoat Junction and Green Acres. Last episode, Jethro comes back. Even after 9 seasons, when the show ended in 1971, it was still a hit. There were, however, changes in the Hillbillies audience that made networks and marketers less interested in them. The network also got rid of Hee Haw, Green Acres, and Mayberry RFD. Some people, like Pat Buttram from Green Acres, said it was the year CBS killed everything with a tree in it. Because of the sudden cancellation, the cast and crew of Beverly Hillbillies couldn't film any kind of ending for the show. The show finished with a pretty normal episode. He tells the con artist that he's no longer an actor who's out of work. In place of Ellie's chimp, the banker puts him to work washing windows at the end of the series. If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon